I am IT infrastructure leader Shankar Chandran here, and with me is
Badri Shokanna, manufacturing business development leader.
And I am Shankaran Sivaramakrishnan, and I am a learning and development professional.
Alright, so here we are three leaders out here. We're going to be talking about an interesting topic. And the concept is not about debate, it's about sharing views. And I guess the topic that we're trying to highlight is about the next generation IT environment. And we as leaders, what do you think we should do to gear up the people to face that environment and cope up with that environment and excel in that environment? So, Mr. Badri, what do you feel is going to be the next generation environment from your views?
So next generation environment, if I look at it, is they are more informed, well educated in technology beforehand, before they enter jobs. They also will be very demanding. Organizations are also going to be demanding, and I think leaders have a very big role to play off their normal work, also to spend time with the organizations, institutions which I am talking about, raise the bar of the students in terms of the knowledge level and skill them up to handle many things which happen in the marketplace, in companies, in the society, in their normal day-to-day living.
But I guess let me get here, right? So prior to our our generation, I guess the leaders who were there before us, they were actually people with diverse skills. But when we came back into our environment, the people who were selecting us or choosing us, they were pretty focused. But don't you believe that the generation is getting back into a diverse, single, specialized in one area, but knowledge in all other areas?
In fact, if you look at it, what happens even in the companies also, though you have people with very focused, specialized functional areas, inside the organization itself, they are not functioning independently. They are working in a team. So my concept of taking the corporate objective of raising the bar of the pool of students, if I call the knowledge level of the next generation leaders, is to go as a team again. You have to have HR, you have to have marketing, you have to have production, you have to have a set of people who bring in the whole organizational effectiveness and share their experiences in a way which is good at an institutional level.
Correct.
That's the whole idea.
Alright, so Shankar, now that you brought in this concept about how we as an organization or the joint leadership need to engage into universities. From your standpoint, with this kinds of expectation that's coming in from the next generation IT, how do you think this training strategy is going to evolve from your perspective?
Okay, if I can tell from my experience, the way we have been engaging students, the youth over the years has undergone a lot of transformation. Earlier it used to be what I want as a trainer, I used to deliver because the expectations were not very many and the options were limited. You have a job, you train the guy to do the job and he does it. Today it is different, the situation has changed, the scenario is different. So one is expected to be expert, if not expert, should have sufficient knowledge about not just one area. He has to be able to conceptually clear of different related activities. And therefore the training, if you look at the training of such people, has to be more learner-centric than the trainer-centric.
Okay.
And that's one point. The second point is, as Badri also mentioned a while ago, the expectations are many. The current generation youth, and their patient levels are also not very high. So to engage such minds, it's going to be a critical challenge. So you need to use leverage technology. Technology is got to play a very, very important role in motivating and keeping them engaged. And you need to adopt all the adult learning principles, such as doing a discussion, using many fishbowl techniques, and there's so many adult learning techniques are there. Use case studies. You have case studies across to share industrial practices happening in different places. So you open their mind, make them responsible, make them think, make them realize that they are capable of much more than what is perceived. I think going forward, that's going to be the key.
So looking at your comment and looking at what Badrish was talking about, does that mean that the leadership, relationship that we have established with universities will also have to be relooked more from the functional expectations from these colleges?
I think that that's very important. The kind of relationship organizations and leaders have with universities, with education institutions, also has to undergo a change. It's not just in terms of getting the best talent to serve the organization, but also give back to them and to the society responsible the future leaders.
So I have a point here. What he says is correct. I'll take more from an economic point of view, because the organization also have to have a balance between many things, and also has to have a financial objective as a baseline of everything.
Correct, yeah.
Right?
I think when you interact with the universities today, if you take a student takes up a project work, say maybe in a 5th semester, 6th semester, whatever it is, he comes and search at the companies, maybe knocks on the doors. He struggles, but it's like, I always say, that is actually an opportunity knocking on the door of the company.
Correct.
Look at it from him. He has energy, he has willingness. He is actually a champion for us in the market.
Absolutely, wonderful.
Right?
And
He is economical.
I think
We miss that.
Correct,
what
yeah.
you said, Badris, is the most important thing. In fact, I can share my own personal experience. There was one guy who approached us for doing his summer project, and we gave him the project, and he was with us for close to 3-4 months. And the whole point of it was, when he went back, he was an ambassador for our organization. We never realized that this kind of value is going to create for the organization. So it's a win-win situation.
Actually, I have a classic case.
Okay, so let me ask you one
Yeah.
thing from what I think. So is it true that if I understand the two perspectives, when we go to colleges and when we look at the projects, do you think we should look at people to be given an opportunity for projects in the non-relevant area for the exposure standpoint?
See,
The whole concept seems to be changing now, right? Because electronic industry seems to be going with electronics and electrical people, and mechanical seems to be going mechanical on one side. On the other side, the so-called cross-functional subject seems to have come down.
I'll give you an example. I'm a mechanical engineer. I spent most of my time learning mechanics, implemented, used, and during the course of my 25 years, I specialized in chemical engineering, I specialized in biology, I specialized in advanced material sciences. So today I feel that knowledge has no limit. And that is what ultimately we realize when we spend a lot of time and we look for leaders down the line. I have a typical example. I remember we were trying to develop a product, put people in place and survey the market. We hired a vehicle. We put all our products as a showcase inside the vehicle. So you needed somebody who can go in the vehicle across the country. No sales guy in the company was willing to ready. We came out with an idea, went to an institution. The guy had just finished, but we promised one thing. You go and learn. That guy today, in a span of 3 years, he is controlling 3 regions because he knew what was happening in the market.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So you see the difference. So this challenge we fail to take because we try to take most of the times the traditional approach to looking at students. I'll tell you, I'll be very blunt. We say that they are not good enough, they are raw. I think we have not put in our efforts to bring them to a good level.
Absolutely. So the analysis of now trying to select a candidate should not be from the core area, but you should also consider other areas. And that, I guess, that's a very important question.
And that's one thing. It should encompass a lot of other related or maybe unrelated areas. Number one. Number two, and very important, is that our perception that they are raw, they are not capable, if I may use that word, is, I think, slightly misplaced. And if you actually interact with some of these young minds, the ability to grasp, they're quite sharp, and they can be given challenges which they surprise us with the outcomes in the
Yeah, so what we used to do in my experience, when as a leader, when we were trying to build infrastructure organization, I was pretty clear saying that I am not going to go with unskilled people. Although infrastructure is all about electronics and computers, I made it a point saying that I'm going to have mechanical people, and then electrical people, electronics, computer science, and not to forget some civil people. And when I was designing the training program for them, I brought in the flavor of these peoples to bring in. And what really happened in the training program it's not the students who are actually learning, it's that even the instructor was learning from the intelligent question that was coming up.
Absolutely.
And then what happens is when the instructor was beginning to document all these, the entire program, coaching program for youngsters evolved. Right? Now, two things that we've learned as a leader, and I know that's where I use. When I was talking about integration of tools, that's exactly what I did. I brought in people from software development, I brought people from the hardcore networks, and we succeeded. But then if you think about, if you're taking only one set of people, I may not have succeeded.
In fact, one more thing that I found, honestly I couldn't implement this, is that when you take these kind of people, try to build them to be a better leader, we need to have what you call as a, say for instance, if you are company X, you say company X certified so and so, so and so, you should give a certificate, because that is something which will help him in his career. It's a good reference for him, it's a good branding for the company also.
So what I'm saying is, when we're talking about certification, and it's certifying a personal project, should we also talk about skill analysis, skilled in these areas, specialized in those areas? I guess that's important, yeah.
Because you are actually, what you're doing, you're doing a pre-analysis of a potential candidate when you don't have a crisis.
Okay, so
You don't have a crisis. And that's the best position to be in. When you are in a position of strength, you are in a better position to negotiate.
I'll tell you why this is important. It's not that we are trying to do a social cause activity alone. When the guys are really ready to take up careers, we find that there is always competition from the employer's point of view. The competition does not necessarily happen in terms of the monetary worth at which we are
absolutely,
valuing.
yes, it's not monetary. Yeah.
It's not monetary. They are worried about the image. They are worried about the growth. So if they have already an experience about the organization, like this is how, this is what they value, this is how probably I need to do down the line. So he has a big connect with his baseline.
Correct.
So that makes a big difference in my opinion.
All right. So you would have heard about these three leaders and their perspectives and their experience in how the next generation IT is going to evolve, and the skills around what the people should be to be successful in the next generation IT. Thank you for being with us, and any feedback, kindly share that with us.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
to
you.
all. Thank you.